Hi, my name is Amanda and I'm a teacher here at the Seongdong-Global-Experience-Center. For our students who may be missing classes here at our center, we've decided to make this Seongdong DIY program to enjoy at home. For our first video today, we will be making a flower pop-up card. It looks like this. So this is a fun and easy DIY that everyone can do at home. So follow along. So here are the materials you'll need for this project. First, you need some paper. So you'll need at least one of these A4 size papers. This one's going to be my background for the purple. You can pick whatever color you want. You can also use another paper. Later on, I'll show you how I'm going to use this green one. It's not required. This is just if you want to. But you do need some of these papers. So these are cut to 10 by 10 centimeters, or you can cut them to 4 inches by 4 inches. It's about the same size. You will need 7 of these. These will be your flowers. So you can decide whatever color you want. They can be 7 of the exact same color, or you can do what I'm doing. I'm using 2 different colors. I'm gonna have orange flowers and white flowers. It's up to you, DIY. So that's what we need for our papers. The next thing we need is adhesives. So you have a couple options. You can use a glue stick or you can use double-sided tape. For the glue stick, this is going to be a lot easier. It'll be a lot faster, but it's not as strong. So this is more just for fun. If you want a more professional finish, the double-sided tape is going to be really good for you. This is going to give you a really strong hold. It's going to work a lot better. The problem is it takes longer and it's not as easy. It's harder to cut it around. So up to you. I think for today, I'm going to use mostly the glue stick. You also will need something to cut your paper with, so you can use a pair of scissors or a knife. I'm probably just going to stick to the scissors. It's easier. Also, for the decoration part, the fun part, so you can use colored pencils or markers. It's up to you. This is why it's DIY. This is why it's fun, because you can decide how much you want to do. You can really get into coloring it and making it very fun and interesting, or you can just do something simple with lines and markers. So that is all of the materials. So let's get started. Okay, so the first step is to make your flowers. So like I said, you need 7 flowers. So if you look here in our example, we have 2 different colors. We have 4 pink flowers and 3 of these white flowers. So I've decided to do the same. I want to have 4 of one color and 3 of another. So this step takes a little bit of time, so I already did some of it. So right here I have 3 of these orange flowers, 2 of the white with yellow, and 1 of the white with purple. So I want the white with purple to be in the middle like this, and then the 2 white with yellow to go on either side like that. So I need 1 more of these orange ones, so we're going to make that one together. I'm going to move these aside really quick. So you're going to take this paper that I showed you earlier, which is a 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter piece of paper. And the first thing you want to do is fold it in half like this. So from corner to corner. It's okay if this is not perfect, do not worry, because you will be cutting part of this paper off. So even if it doesn't line up perfectly, don't worry about it, it's okay. So I'm just going to fold it like this. You can use your nails to kind of squeeze it a little more tight so the fold is neater. Then you're going to fold it again in half from this corner to this corner. So like this. And use my nails again to try to get that to be nice and strong. So now we've got this shape, so we've folded it twice. And we're going to fold 1 more time. So from this corner to this corner 1 more time. Okay, so if I unfold it and just show you 1 more time how this is folded. So we folded it in half, then in half again, then in half 1 more time. So now you've got this little piece of paper here. So the reason we fold it like this is we want all of our petals to be the same shape, so the flower looks really pretty. So if you look, this is what the cutout flower is going to look like. So I'm going to fold this one up really quick. It's really important that all of your flowers are exactly the same shape. So when you cut out your first one, you say, this is the design that I like. Then you're going to put it on top of your other ones and cut them exactly the same way. You want this to be the same shape. And I'll show you why that's important later. But for now, keep in mind, your flower needs to be the same shape for all 7 of them. But each card can have a different design. So if you look at these flowers, I decided to go with more of a pointy end. Whereas my example one, the cherry blossoms, they have this little cutout part here. So for each project, you can design whatever design you want to do. But keep in mind, all of your flowers, all 7, have to be the same shape for one card. So I'm going to take this one and hold it up here, and I'm going to trace around it with my pencil. Just simple tracing along the lines like that, so that we are going to have the exact same shape when I cut it out. Another thing to keep in mind is where you want to cut your piece of paper. So if you look, when I folded it, this was the middle of the paper, right? So that part you want to hold. Do not cut that part of the paper. You will ruin your petals that way. So you want to hold that part and cut above it like this. Because this part, the middle of the paper, needs to stay whole, right? Otherwise, you're going to have a big hole right here in the middle of your flower, and that doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to cut out this piece of paper to make our flower. There we go. So we cut off those pieces and you open it up and voila, you have your flower. So this is how you make the flower design. So next, if you see over here, my flowers look a little different. I wonder what's different. Design, right? So we need to make a little pretty design on the inside. Once again, it's DIY. You can choose whatever you want to do. You can keep it simple like this. That's completely fine. It'll look very nice. Or you can go a little extra like I did and put a lot of design ideas into it. So you can do something like this where I shaded around to make it a little more orange because I didn't like the orange of this paper. You could do something like this to take a simple white and just give it a little bit of color. Or something like this and give it a little more dots and excitement to it. What I was going for with my design is I really like lilies, and there's a couple different kinds of lilies. There's the tiger lilies, there's the regular white lilies. So I was trying to find 3 different kinds of lilies to mix together to make kind of a summery look. Whereas my example one with the cherry blossoms is a lot more of a spring design. So it depends on what you want to do. So for this, I'm going to need my orange colored pencil. So I'll get out my colored pencils here and open that. Okay, so take out my orange one right here. And what you want to do is if you look on here, I left 2 empty ones. I'll explain why you leave that empty later, but do not color those ones in. You'll just waste your time. You do not need them. So you want to color all of the other ones and leave 2 of them empty. So I'm going to speed this up and I'm going to color this in really quick. The flower, like I said, you don't have to go as extra as me. You can make it more simple, but I did not like the color of orange of this paper, so I wanted to brighten it up a little bit more with the colored pencil. And I like to add the little black pieces in the middle. I think this is called the stigma of the flower. I just like to add that. I think it gives an extra touch. So that is how you will finish cutting and coloring your flower. There's one more piece that you can decide to cut before you finish, which is up to you. I did not put it in my example one, but I'm going to put it in this one, is leaves. So I want to, later when we're done, I want to add a few little leaves like this in between because I think it'll look really pretty on these flowers. I think for this design, because these are lilies and lilies do have leaves, it's going to look really nice. It's going to add to that kind of tropical summer feeling to it. The cherry blossom example that I showed you earlier does not have leaves because cherry blossoms don't have leaves. It would be kind of a waste of space. So for the leaves, you want it to be about the same size as your petals. So what I did is earlier off camera, I folded it up like this and took my green paper that I showed you earlier and just cut about the same size. It's a little bigger, but it's about the same size. That way later on, it's going to fit nicely in between two petals when I add it. So these, I colored it in kind of the same way that I did the flower. What I would like to show you is if you see on the edge of the leaves and on the edges of all the flowers, I colored the edges. And the reason that I like to do this is because these papers they look a little 2D if you put them up against each other. But if you add just a little bit along the edges, it gives it kind of a more 3D effect. It looks a lot nicer and more complete. You don't have to do it, that's just what I like to do. So now we have all of our flowers colored and all of our leaves cut out, and we are ready to move on to the next step. And the next step is to take this from being a flat 2D flower and make it into a 3D flower, and this is how you're going to get the pop-up effect in your art. So what you're going to do is you see these two pieces that we left uncolored. You are going to, this sounds scary, cut one of those petals off. That is how you're going to make it. So you're going to cut off this petal and you're going to take this one and stick it there, and that's going to give it a little bit of a 3D effect. So I'm going to show you with this first flower. So simply cut right to the middle. There we go. So we've cut it off, and if you just look like that, so you're going to glue it like that and see how it makes it 3D. It makes it pop up a little bit. So we're going to just attach it there. Like I said, I'm going to use some glue. You can use tape, whatever you want to. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there and then stick them together. So, just like that. Now you've got your first little 3D flower. If you didn't cut it quite perfectly, sometimes the back one sticks out a little bit. What you can do is you can just trim it, or you can take a colored pencil and just color in the edges so that you can't really tell the difference. But luckily on this one I cut it pretty well, so it's not sticking out at all. So that's our first one. We're going to go and do the same with all 7 of our flowers. Shapes in their 3D form, we need to make them one big bunch. So you're going to take, first one is going to be one of your, if you're doing 2 colors, one of your 3 color pieces. So I'm going to take my white one here. And what you want to do is squish it. So you want to squish it down so it's got 3 petals like this. So you want to make it flat. And you are going to glue onto it. So it's really important in this step, do not glue the whole petal. It will not open well if you do that. You want to start about halfway up the petal and glue to the edge. So the center part here, you do not want to put any glue there. The reason is because you need to be able to open it for the 3D effect. So if it's glued all the way down here, it won't open very well. So only the top end part of the petal. It's very important. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of our flowers and squash them down like this, so they're in 3, and you're going to line them up like that. So it kind of won't line up perfectly unless you cut the most perfect shape. So you want to kind of look, there's 2 ways you can have it sit like this or sit like this. See, this one doesn't line up very well, it's a different angle. So I want to flip it over and glue it like that. That one's the one that lines up correctly. So we're going to glue here and here, here and here. So I'm going to take my glue, I'm going to do just the end of the petal. So start from the middle out to the end of the petal, and then I'm going to put my orange piece right there onto that petal. And you can open it up and kind of hold it together there, make sure it squishes. There we go. So did the one on this side, and I'm going to glue one right here as well. So take another orange piece and check the angle. That's the right angle. So take the glue, put it here from the middle to the end, and then lay it down like that. And then once again, you can kind of open it and squeeze them together, make sure they stick nicely. So this is your first step. You're going to have 2 on the sides and 1 in the middle here. You got a little glue on the table. Clean that up. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to attach the middle flower. So the middle flower, like I said, I'm going to do my pretty purple one. You can do whatever you want. You're going to take that and you're going to glue it right there in the middle, like that. So for this part, you want to put glue here, here, and here on all 3 of these, and then you're going to lay down your purple flower or whatever your middle color is. So I'm going to put glue on all 3 of those spots. And remember, please only put the glue on the end of your petal. Do not put the glue down here. It will not work. So I'm going to take my flower and I'm going to squish it down on all 3 of those spots. And you can kind of open it up, make sure that those are sticking well. Oh, see, that didn't stick very well. Do that one more time. Squish it. And this is why, like I said, sometimes the double-sided tape sticks a little better. It's a little easier to work with. It just takes a lot longer. So you're going to stick these down, make sure they're stuck really nicely, line them up, and squish it down. And you can kind of rub like this to make sure that they're sticking really well together. So now we've got 1 white on either side and 2 of these orange ones. So 4 of our flowers so far have been put in here. So now for our next step, we are going to take the next 2 orange flowers. I'm going to put glue here and here and here and here. So glue here, here, put an orange flower. So we're going to do that first. If you're having a little trouble keeping up, it's okay to pause the video, go back, look at it again. It's okay. The first time I did this, it was a little confusing. So we're going to flatten that orange one. We put glue here and here, and we're going to put the next flower right on top of that. Try to get the petals to line up and squish them down. Okay, and remember earlier I said that you want to make sure that all of your petals are the exact same shape. This is why. If one of them was pointy and one of them was round, they would not line up very well and it would have a really hard time making this part work. So this is why you want to try to keep all of your shapes exactly the same. So we've glued this orange one here. So now we want to put glue here and put another orange one right there. Move that out of the way. Squish him down. Okay, great. So now we have 6 of our flowers here. We're almost done. We just got to add the last one right here in the end, our final 7th flower. So for our final 7th flower, we want to do 1, 2, 3 and put the last flower on there. So just like the one in the middle, 1, 2, 3 and put that last flower on. So I'm going to put the glue on. And add our final flower. Oh, other way. Okay, and stick it down. So even though I worked hard to make sure all of my flowers were the same, they're not perfect. They don't line up completely perfectly, but the closer you can get them to line up, the better it's all gonna work out for you. So there are some spots where the flower sticks out a little bit on one side. Don't worry, it's not gonna be perfect. But like I said, the closer you can get, the better, the easier it's gonna be for you. So this is how your flowers should look when it's all assembled. And once you open it, it'll look like this. It's kind of hard to open it right now because the glue isn't quite dry. Once again, the double-sided tape works a lot better for this. So I'm going to put this aside and let it dry a little bit and then show you the next step. Okay, so now remember these leaves that I made earlier, I want to attach them. So like I said, because it's DIY, you can choose to do whatever you want to do. That's the fun of DIY. I want to add leaves. I'm going to add about 8 of them. You don't have to add them. You can add more, you can add less. But here's how I'm going to put mine. I'm going to put 1 here, and then 2 here. Then I'm going to flip it over and do the same on the other side. I think that'll look really pretty. So I'm going to take my leaf, handy dandy glue, stick them together. And somebody's getting a phone call outside. There we go. So remember I made these leaves about the same size as the petal. So if I stick it right into the center, it sticks out a little bit past the petal, so it's going to look really nice, I think. I'm going to take 2 and glue them together for this one. So I'll take glue and put this one on top of the other one. And glue dries so slow. Okay, and then I'm going to put some more glue there. And I'm going to put that one right here in between these 2 petals. Great, so I'm going to put one more over here. Right there in the middle. And flip it over. You can already kind of see how those are going to look. I think it's going to look really nice. And I'm going to add the ones on this side. So I'll take this leaf here. And I like an asymmetrical look, so instead of putting these 2 leaves exactly where they are on the other side, I'm going to put them on this side, so it's a little asymmetrical. I think it'll look a little bit nicer. The good thing about asymmetrical is if your design is not perfect, it looks intentional, which is a good tip because I am never perfect. So there we go, we put those 2 together. And put them right there in between those 2 petals. And, oh, looks like I actually have an extra leaf, but I'm not going to put it on. I don't think I need it. I'll put that right in between there. And there we go. So that's all of my leaves now added to the design. I'm going to give that a few seconds to dry, and I'll see you in a second. Alright, so this has had some time to dry, and now we need to make our background. So, like I showed you at the beginning, we've got a nice A4 piece of paper. I've decided to do purple because I think that the colors white, orange, and green look really nice on top of purple. You can choose whatever color you want. So you're just going to fold it in half like this. So take the long end and fold it. And just kind of put the corners together and squash it in the middle. And I'm going to just take my nails and run them along so that it sticks a little bit better. It makes a little bit stronger of a crease. So this, now we've got our background. Just kind of looks like a card, normal card like this. So once you add your flowers in, what you're going to want to do is make sure these edges of the petals are right here along this middle spine of the book. So you can put them down here at the bottom, you can put them in the middle, you can put them at the top. It's up to you how you want it to open. Just remember that wherever you put it, if you want your card to be able to stand up like this, if you want to be able to stand it like this so that you can see the flowers, if you put it too close to the bottom, the flowers will stick out the bottom and it won't stand very well. So you want to make sure to put it a little closer to the middle. You also want to keep in mind, where are you going to put your writing if you're going to put words in the card. So if I put it down here in the bottom, the writing can go up above. If I put it up here at the top, the writing can go down here below. So I think for our example, I put them down here at the bottom so that I could have this pretty branch going along and the words up in here in the corner. So I think this time I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to put the flowers at the top and have our words down here at the bottom. So like I said earlier, you can use whatever adhesive you want. I've been using glue this whole time, but for this part, because this has to stick really well, I'm going to use the double-sided tape. You can still use the glue, it should work fine, you just need to wait longer for it to dry. So while the camera was off, I already put the double-sided tape on here to save us a little bit of time. So what I'm going to do is just take the back off of one side of the double-sided tape. You're only going to stick down one side of the flowers. So like I said, you're going to line up the petals right here on that middle spot and then squish it down. And so if you're doing the glue, you'll put the glue right here about halfway through the petal on just this middle petal here. You don't want to glue any other petals, just the middle petal. And you put it, stick it down. So now if I kind of pull here, you can see it's going to open like that. Now the reason I only do one side is if I open it and stick it myself, it might not close very well. So I'm going to show you in a second how to close it well. But right now, while it's in this state, you need to finish your design. If you stick it now, trying to draw the design afterwards gets really difficult. So I'm going to do something really simple for this one. I've decided to make a road. So I'm going to start here from the corners and just draw a road. And I'm going to add a little phrase that says, "Let's walk on the flower path." So just like the phrase in Korean, "고길만 걷자," we're going to add the phrase, "Let's walk on the flower path." So I'm going to get out my colored pencils again and add that really quick. So I think I'm going to use this brown here. Just going to go from the corners, really simple, up to the flowers. So because this is a flower path and this is not a road, it does not have to be perfect, which I like because perfect is hard. So we're just going to go from the corners, make a nice line like that. So this is going to be our flower path. So first I'm going to write in the phrase and then I will kind of color in around it so that it's part of the road. So let's see, what color should we write our phrase in? I wonder if the white will look nice on the purple. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we'll do that. So when you're writing your phrase, it can be a little scary to write it out on your paper after you've done all this work and you think you're going to mess up. So what you can do is you can use a regular pencil with an eraser on the top and then you can just kind of erase it if you get it wrong. I'm going to be brave. I'm just going to go right in and write it in the white. Hope I don't mess up. If I do, it's okay. So I'm going to start off with our L. I'm going to try to write it a little pretty. It's not going to be perfect, but make it look okay. Let. So I've decided to write it in cursive. That's a really fancy way of writing English. You don't have to write it in cursive, that's okay. I just think it looks kind of cool on a greeting card like this. So let's walk on the flower path. So you might think, why is it path? path and not road. You can say let's walk on the flower road, that is fine, but a road is specifically something like what a car would go on. It's paved, it's a little bit more like city. Whereas a flower path, I think, is more pretty, it's more natural. Path is something that's a little softer, maybe something you walk on. So that's why I chose to use the word path. You can also say road if you want to. I think path is a little nicer here though. So let's walk on the flower path. And like I said earlier, I just want to kind of color in around it a little bit so it blends in around the words. So just like this, doesn't have to be perfect. Because it's a path, it's probably made of dirt and it's pretty messy anyways. So just kind of scribble here. I'm going to make a mess of my desk and then I will clean it afterwards. It's always good to make sure you've got some wet wipes near you when you're doing something like this because you're probably going to make a mess. And I don't know about you, but my mom didn't like it when I left a big mess on the table. So try to clean it up after you're done with the coloring in. And just move these flowers aside a little bit so I can get underneath them. I personally like using colored pencils on things like this because I think it gives it a little more messy, a little more homemade feel. If you wanted to make it look more professional, you can, but you made it by hand. I think this gives it a better vibe. It feels a little nicer, it feels a little bit more real. So that's why I like to use the colored pencils. All right, there we go. So if you see, we've got our phrase, let's walk on the flower path, and we've got our flower path. So the last step, the last thing we need to do is attach these flowers over here. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to take off the back of that double-sided tape.
Once again, like I said, you can use...
You're going to take off the back of the double-sided tape. Like I said, you can use the glue at this as well. I just decided to use the double-sided tape for this one. So the double-sided tape or the glue goes in the middle out to the end of just that middle petal right there. Now do not take it and go like this. Like I said, it might not close very neatly if you do that. So the special trick is you're going to leave it like that and you're going to close the book. You close it nice and neatly and squash it. You can get a little angry with it, squash it down, have a little bit of fun with that. Make sure it's nice and stuck. And here's the magic trick. Now that I've put that glue or that tape there, once I open it, it pops up on its own. So here you go. There's your flower pop-up card. So we've got our frieze, we've got all of our pretty flowers, and our leaves are in there too. You can kind of do this if it's the first time opening it, make sure it pops out nice and well. And there you go. That's how you make your card. I'll show you this way as well so you can look at it nice and pretty. So this is the end of our first tutorial for our DIY pop-up card. This is our flower card. So we will be putting up this video and working on our next one. So please look forward to our next pop-up design. We're going to do another pop-up card later on. So please look out for it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us some comments down below of what you thought. If you have any questions on how to make this or what materials we used, put them in the comments below and I will get back to you as soon as I can and let you know. So have a great day and I hope you all enjoyed working on this video with us. Bye-bye!